Bray Wyatt's return to WWE last year was one of the best creative decisions under Triple H's era. It was masterfully executed by creating buzz with the use of several QR codes and hints which all pointed towards Bray's return. But all of this hype went down the drain after his Royal Rumble match with LA Knight. Half a year later, Bray hasn't come anywhere close to recapturing that excitement, and unfortunately, his return has been a huge letdown in the eyes of many fans. But why is it not shocking that a talented and promising character of Bray Wyatt has once again crumbled in pieces? His last run as the Fiend showed a promising future as one of the polarizing wrestlers in the company. But his matches against Seth Rollins, Goldberg and Randy Orton were absolutely disastrous to say the least. I mean, it's no wonder that Bray Wyatt has had an uncertain relationship with the WWE, and because of this uncertainty, he has had to deal with being written off television for many months for no reason, and he would constantly lose and gain followers. Bray Wyatt made his debut exactly 10 years ago as the founding member of the Wyatt family, and now when I look back through all these 10 years, I wonder how did a man with so much charisma and extraordinary talent could become such a sad afterthought. When he was the leader of the Wyatt family, Bray was easily at the top of his game. Starting from his backstage segment to his entrance to his unique finishing move easily made him go over with the fans. It's no wonder that WWE had big plans for Bray because he embroidered in rivalries with the likes of CM Punk, Kane, Daniel Bryan, John Cena and The Shield.
Feel the tension. No kidding, it's the battle to end all battles right here.
When Bray set his eyes on John Cena in early 2014, it was supposed to be Wyatt's defining moment, and at this point he could have easily become the next breakout star. But his loss to John Cena at WrestleMania of all places really looked like it hit a bullet to his momentum. In 2015, Bray was forced into a feud with The Undertaker, and as there were no responses from the dead man, it clearly felt like a lackluster rivalry, and their eventual match at WrestleMania served nothing for Bray. But nevertheless, it was great to watch two eerily similar characters engage in a rivalry. At this point, WWE should have made Bray the Intercontinental Champion or the US Champion, but it looked like he was only here to get a beat down from the top babyfaces. Bray wasn't booked for a match at WrestleMania 32 because he was booked in an embarrassing segment with The Rock.
Are you ready? I'm ready.
It was the final straw for his fans because the problem wasn't Bray, the problem was his booking because at this point he was treated as a secondary wrestler. Nevertheless, there was still a bit of hope in 2016 when Bray set his eyes on Randy Orton, which eventually led to Randy joining forces with Bray. It looks similar to Daniel Bryan joining the Wyatt family for a while, but this time Bray would have a stronger hold on Randy Orton. This duo dominated SmackDown for a couple of months, and it was at this point that fans had started to warm up to Bray Wyatt once again. And I believe that WWE noticed it because when they decided to make Bray Wyatt the WWE champion, the roaring crowd reaction that he received went over the roof. And just by looking at Bray's face, you can see that how much this moment meant to him. One of the best visuals of this entire storyline was when Randy burned down the Wyatt family compound, and as the Royal Rumble winner, he challenged Bray Wyatt to a match at WrestleMania 33. But shockingly, Randy and Bray would go on to have one of the worst WrestleMania title matches of all time. I mean, why are we having these weird ass visuals during the match? It was absolutely unnecessary. And adding more salt to the wounds, WWE didn't even let Bray hold the WWE Championship for even a month. This was Bray's third WrestleMania loss, and this loss clearly made no sense to me. Every time Bray took a step forward, the company kept pushing him back for no reason. There's no question that Bray Wyatt is one of WWE's greatest creations, and without Bray's dedication, fans wouldn't have been so hooked on to him. But WWE's incompetence to book him properly was slowly making him unpopular. At this point, WWE decided that Bray's character needed a much needed break, and here's what happened. fans were horrified to see this kid-friendly version of Bray. And Bray's promo video on YouTube went on to become one of the most disliked video on WWE's YouTube channel. But when his segments would look demonic and sinister, fans realized that this was much bigger than what they were looking at the surface. Bray's Fiend character is still my favorite version of Bray. His segments was one of the most incredible dynamics in a long time. It is highly rumored that the Fiend character was Bray's own creation, and I'm glad that he took matters in his own hand. I have to give WWE a pat on the back for building up the Fiend's character so well in its initial phase. Just like before, Bray's alter ego was showing signs of success in its initial phase. His first target was Finn Balor, and even though their match wasn't that memorable, but Bray's entrance was perfectly executed. But just like before, WWE once again dropped the ball on him by throwing him in a rivalry with Seth Rollins.
Oh my God, from behind the Fiend!
I'm sure no one can forget their infamous match at Hell in a Cell because it easily went on to become one of the worst Hell in a Cell matches of all time. I mean, how do you explain a disqualification ending in a freaking Hell in a Cell match?
And they're fighting again, Sister Abigail!
Despite this huge mishap, Bray's popularity still remained at the top, and at this point he was one of the highest merchandise seller in WWE. Eventually, 1 month later, he would capture the Universal Championship for the first time. But these happy times wouldn't last long as soon as Goldberg got in the title picture for absolutely no goddamn reason.
Bray Wyatt! You're next!
Like literally, Vince McMahon makes one phone call to Bill Goldberg to squash all the positive momentum that Fiend had gained.
Spear! Goldberg spears the Fiend!
I was honestly flabbergasted by this match. Like, Fiend's character literally got embarrassed as soon as he lost to Goldberg in a pathetic good-for-nothing match. There was so much outrage about this match, and almost all the fans resented the new 54-year-old champion. And I like that even after all these embarrassing matches and losses, Bray would still maintain his integrity. Bray would eventually recapture the Universal Championship, but it would just be a 7-day reign.
You know the hell that is? God, it's Roman Reigns! Roman Reigns!
WWE once again booked Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt in an intense rivalry. Their much-awaited cinematic match ended with Randy Orton burning him alive.
No!
2 months later, Bray would come back during an ongoing match between Randy Orton and Alexa Bliss. His new mask was even more scary, but WWE once again screwed him again. After what was a pretty cool entrance at WrestleMania 37, during which the Fiend shed his burned mask and returned to his original form, Alexa Bliss appeared out of the giant box with liquid dripping down her face, and that distracted the Fiend to such an extent that he was knocked down for a 3 count by just one RKO. Like, what was going on? In the past, this dude has literally kicked out of multiple curb stops. Heck, in the past, he even kicked out of Undertaker's Tombstone Piledriver. Bray once again went on a break, and reports this time suggested that Brody Lee's death severely affected Bray's mental health. Even in his final segment before his break, he made it known that he'll come back. So when the announcement of his shocking WWE release came to light, it clearly stunned the world. Reports suggested that Vince McMahon clearly disliked Bray Wyatt's outspoken nature. Bray was pretty vocal about his dumb booking, and that tipped off Vince McMahon. So you can realize that Bray clearly had a rocky relationship with Vince McMahon and the WWE. After that, Bray would disappear from the spotlight for 2 years. It was clear Bray wouldn't return if Vince McMahon was still the head of the creative team. So when Triple H took over as the head of creative team, there was a ray of hope that Bray would now come back. And yes, one of his first move in power was to bring Bray back, and he wasted no time. It was clearly one of the best comeback in company's history. Bray was once again at his peak. The Fiend was gone, and now he was more of a babyface, but still a very conflicted character. But it wouldn't take too long for him to go back to his old persona. Things move fast in pro wrestling these days, but Bray's storyline would move at a very slow pace. Bray's program with LA Knight looked promising. But then came their absolutely awful Royal Rumble match. It couldn't hide how bad it was, and nothing could cover up Uncle Howdy's botch on LA Knight. The LA Knight rivalry looked to be followed by one with Bobby Lashley, and just in 1 week after setting his eyes on Bobby, Bray was suddenly gone from WWE without any explanation. This feud was immediately forgotten like it never happened. And that pretty much sums up Wyatt's return to WWE over these 7 months with just one in-ring match under his wing. Bray Wyatt has revamped and repackaged his characters more than anyone in the company in such a short time. Whatever the creative team threw at him, he always tried to make the best out of it. With Triple H in charge, things should have been better, but instead, this run has been way worse than before. WWE has clearly screwed up Bray Wyatt tons of times, and fans have a right to be extremely upset with the potential they lost in such a great character. As his career has progressed, Bray Wyatt has become one of the most divisive performers in modern WWE. His promo skills and creativity is a testament to his unbelievable talent, but he clearly deserves better.